working on an EHR actually is really hard for doctors. It's very much like learning a new language. You can imagine what it would be like to show up at work one day and have to use Italian instead of English to do your work in. It's almost that frustrating and difficult for people. So we would really have had a lot more trouble being able to get our doctors on the electronic health record if we hadn't had dedicated IT help in terms of Dan as our liaison. As frustrating as it was for people, the ability to have him come and show you day by day something just enough for you to learn to help you solve your problem for that day, and to be there as patient support at your elbow really made a difference for people.
One aspect that I've found that I've had a talent for is translating IT concepts into concepts that people who don't generally work with IT can understand. And so when they often are asking for some change in the product, or to be able to see the information in some different way, I can often translate that into a way that is we can actually do with the database that we have. The problem often in EHRs and electronic health records are that they pump too much information at you at one time. So it's often key to be able to configure the product to only give the information that the clinician is looking for right then to them at that time. So I found by configuring these parts of the product with the provider in mind, that it's much more useful for them. And that's not something that happened previously, again, with IT departments, because they weren't listening to exactly what the provider was needing. This is one that you're familiar with? All of them, probably, right?
Yes, the majority here, but this is the actual tab that I go into to get, if I want to just pick one particular doctor.
I've been lucky enough to be working with this same clinics for almost a decade now. And so I've really seen the evolution of their use of the EHR. So I've seen them really struggle with just getting the basic data in, and I've seen them become frustrated with that, and I've seen them get over that and become more comfortable with getting the data in. And then I've also seen them get to the point where they really like the EHR because it has all the information that they need right in front of them, and they're not flipping through the patient chart. And I've also seen the evolution of EHR technology, or databases used in the medical practice, from databases that were just used for billing, so funder-based databases, to now we're using databases that are really provider-based. In other words, they're databases that not only take care of the funding reports, but also make it easier for the providers, for the clinicians to do their jobs, and make it easier to monitor quality of care. And we're now moving to the patient-centered version of EHRs, which not only do those first two things, but also really concentrate on the patient's experience.
It really made a huge difference to us in terms of how long it took to go from EHR as a disaster and a distraction and a frustration to EHR as a tool that was helping us really help patients. Now all of our colleagues in the rest of the hospital and the clinics are having to do with EHRs, and we all feel kind of like pioneers because it's really very comfortable now for us. In fact, it's hard for me to go back to writing on paper.
When I'm able to show somebody how to do something that they've been frustrated with for perhaps months, when I can show them how to do that in a much easier way, that's really satisfying.